Welcome along to our watch along. We are previewing the match between South Africa as well as Australia. Things not looking too good. Well, in the first innings for South Africa, and of course New Zealand, Australia rather, looking to chase 213-14 to win today's encounter. And I think it is the repeat of the 1999 semi-final between the two teams when they met back then. Of course, different teams. But who do we think will come out of this match victorious today? Will it be South Africa and the bowling department just making sure that they have to do the job and get it done? We'll see the likes of Gerald Coetzee as well as Kagiso Rabada, who will just be looking to get those wickets for the team. And of course, joining me, I've got Tandeka Dube, as well as Tasman Granger, John, David, as well as Roland joining us via Zoom. Everybody, welcome. Let me start with you, ladies, joining me before we go to the gentlemen on the other side. What a game it has been today. Just your total overall of the match today. What are your feels around it? What do you think went wrong or went right for South Africa?
A lot went wrong.
You done the right.
No. I don't know what makes you feel like you could say what went right. Maybe just
what went wrong for South
just,
Africa?
David Miller crossing the 100-run mark.
That's the only thing that went good.
Yeah, like in terms of my blood pressure and emotions, definitely, But yeah, what actually went right for them? They I don't know. It's been bad. I'm still hurting. Bad. I don't think my emotions are warranted for camera. So
we're in India, we don't even have medical aid outside.
So unless we can get someone to pull out a Mohammed Shami, some form of spectacularness right now, of which Marco Jansen's already gone for 4 runs in the first over, which is all they need to keep going up until the 50th, and they'll be fine. It's scary.
Yeah, and for you, Tandy, what have you made of that match? I mean, I think it was brilliant bowling from Australia, actually, in the first innings.
Well, for me, I'm speechless. Only thing I can do is just laugh because I can't even get sad about it because that's how bad it is. And so much expectations I had so much expectation towards SA. I was like, you know what, guys, they're representing us. But the way they're just performing, instead of getting sad, it's one of those, it's just a joke.
What can we say?
Another one. So it's one of those type of situation where it's rather creative for us. We'll see how to go.
Rabada just getting the first form of some shape for South Africa. And we do know that Travis Head has been dismissed, caught behind 2 times, if not 3 so far this World Cup. So Rabada as well as Marcus Jansen at this stage just probably may want to pitch up the ball and see what they can actually get. Oh girl, it's 5 for no loss after 1 over.
Did I say anything about
girl. Don't you worry.
You can't be exposing me on air. I mean, I can see it. Don't worry. I can see that. So she's just trying to tell the whole world that I'm short-sighted, but that's not the truth,
No, not at all. So I'm just going to throw this one probably at Roland right now. Not too sure what you think really went wrong for South Africa today. Obviously some brilliant bowling coming out of the Australian camp as well. And I don't know, could they have devised better plans against the ball swinging? I didn't entirely see anyone come down the track after Quinton de Kock attempted it, and he caught him. He found himself getting caught just within the circle. Great catch as well by Pat Cummins. That coming off him as well. Roland.
Okay, it seems like we don't have him.
So I'm going to throw it towards David. David, the ever analytical David Brooks. What do you think? Me and you this morning actually backed South Africa to come out and actually do something. But now it's going to be interesting. They're currently cruising, and now the boundary just coming up about that right now.
I should have listened to you more carefully, Tamsin. You were talking about the soil. What did you say about the soil this morning?
Yeah, I was trying to reiterate the fact that it was a black soil pitch today, and that type of conditions as well. Overhead, overcast, clouds over the top as well. The ball will tend to move a lot more, swing and seam, but the pitch itself alone does offer that sort of a tennis ball bounce coming off the seam bowlers. Good bounce, but fair pace coming off it. And for the spinners, it gets great grip and turn. obviously. And it's going to be interesting to see as well with the due factor setting in this evening, if it's going to assist the seamers or just make it come onto the bat like a rocket.
I mean, I should have listened more carefully because actually, you know, if I'd really thought about what you were saying, as soon as you started talking about soil, I kind of switched off because I'm not really a gardener or a horticulturist. And so I thought, I don't need to listen to this. Yeah, I thought I don't need to listen to this, but of course, I've been listening to it. Because if you listen carefully to what you said, yes, you were saying the conditions might not be in the batsman's favor. I mean, I think if Cummins said if he had won the toss, he would have batted first too. So you can't really blame the South Africa skipper. But you've been highlighting all through the tournament that Bavuma, however good his captaincy is, he's not worth his place as a batter. And you know, getting out, hanging his bat out like that in the first over, it was a very bad start. And if ever South Africa needed captain's example at the top of the order, you know, so that started the rot. And I just thought, I don't know what you guys thought. I just think that South Africa didn't try to counter punch. They allowed the Australia bowlers to really dominate them in those first 10, 20 overs. And so even when David Miller played that fantastic innings, he was always struggling to get a total because the start had been so slow. I mean, Van Newson, sorry, I can never pronounce his name. You know what I mean?
Van der
Dussen. Yeah, we with you.
Yeah.
What was he doing? He sounded like he was in a trance. What was his figures? I mean, what were the number of balls faced by Van der Dussen with the runs scored? I'd like to know that. Can anyone tell me that? Because I don't understand why he just went to sleep at the crease. It just gave the game initiative to Australia.
So he faced 31 balls and he scored 6 runs.
That's a strike rate of 20.
19.35.
I mean, you're not going to win any World Cup games, are you? You're basically handing over the initiative to Australia. And it meant that however good Miller was and the partnerships, he put 2 partnerships together with Clark and Kurtzer, they were always going to be behind the clock because of Van der Dussen. What was it?
Van der Dussen. Yep.
Right. What was he doing? Can you explain what he was doing out there?
You know, I think maybe he thought he was just out there to weather the storm, see off the new ball, but it doesn't exactly work when you have the likes of Mitchell Starc flying at you. You have Josh Hazelwood that went for 1.50 economy. That's just picking up 2 wickets for 12 runs, only with 3 maidens in 8 overs. Okay, fine. You think you're going to do that? There's a man in Pat Cummins. I think for me, you know, it was too long. It's like saying we're going to deal with Shami, see of Bumrah, see of Siraj, and hopefully Kuldeep Yadav and Jadeja having a bad day. That doesn't work. Australia's in good touch since they've been in the league. They've come out of the league stages in good form, in good touch. Not as much of a wavy exit for them as it was for South Africa leading into the semi-final. I
mean, he put so much pressure on the other players by batting like that with a strike rate of 19. I mean, I just don't understand what he was doing. And it meant that the overs were ticking by. Obviously, Australia were bowling their overs real quick as well. So Matthews was rushing through his overs, and Travis Head, and everyone had a go, didn't they? Travis Head was on. You know, I thought I was going to be given a bowl at one stage. I mean, everyone was bowling. And it was kind of like, let's get through these.
On the Travis Head topic, I just want to bring John Yumbu into the conversation. John, you are a brilliant off spinner, somebody I've personally grown up watching most of my career as well back home. You know, I started playing club cricket in your men's team before I even got a shot at playing women's cricket. And you are a great turner of the ball. You get great revs. You got the height, so you got a natural dip as well. What do you think of Travis Head's bowling today? Those 2 quick wickets, one after the other.
Yeah, hello, ladies. Thank you once again for having me. David, you all right? Yeah, I see you're cozy with your dog there. Yeah, spin bowling, like Taz, is an art. It's and Trevor's head for me when I saw him warming up to bowl. It was I knew that something was going to happen because of the way he bowls. He's so attacking, and it's just a natural spinner of the ball. Difference in in the two dismissals. The Clarkson dismissal was round the wicket, ball angling on
Yeah.
straight, hitting the outside edge. And as soon as the new batter in, he went over the wicket and attacked the off stump using the footmarks that Mitchell Stark had created, bowling left arm round the wicket. I always loved bowling in a team that had a left-hander because you'll create a lot of rough on the offside for me to try and get in that area and get the ball to grip. And he just made things happen, not only in this game, but he did that in the Ashes as well, where they gave him the ball, the wicket was spinning a little bit, and then he got wickets. He had no pressure because, like David says, that a lot of the guys went in there, didn't maneuver the strike. It was just block or hit, block or hit, block or hit. But then when he came on, he didn't have pressure. He just bowled to the best of his ability and was able to extract that spin, and it worked for Australia. Pat Cummins did everything right in the first innings, his bowling changes, his field settings, and the way they just generally went about their business, the Australians, was a marvel to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And David, you'll forgive me today. Unfortunately, I don't have much to say, especially after, just such disappointing innings by South Africa. So as a South African, I really feel like there isn't much I can say about today's match. All I can do is just pray and hope that, the bowling department gets the work done, but it doesn't look so good for us as well. So I just think I'll just sit most of today out and I'll just let everybody else do the talking. But I hope you guys will allow me that grace. But just coming to you, John, you've seen how South Africa has played, in the first innings, such a very horrible game that they've had today. I mean, we've seen them batting first and just scoring 350 plus runs. Today was actually the first time that they fail. Well, when batting first, that they failed to score at least 300 runs. So what do you make of their whole performance in the first innings?
Like I said earlier on the previous show with Taz and David and the other guys, that looking at the conditions that were available before they even tossed, you could see that the game was going to be under lights. You could see that the pitch was covered. You could see that it was overcast. So for me as a captain, I'll just say, ball first. Use the little bit of juice and movement that's in the wicket. Get 2 or 3 wickets, and you're in the money. Exactly what Australia did, and it worked to their advantage. And then you saw that the wicket started flattening, and it continued to flatten. Yes, it started spinning. In India, the wickets are going to spin, so that's not something that for me is a wow because it's in the subcontinent. But the wicket started to spin and started to come on nicely onto the batters, the seamers bowled, and the trend is continuing now. Even as South Africa is bowling, the wicket is coming on. The seamers are bowling a good pace, which is easy for the batters to hit through the line. So for me, Australia won the game in that first 10 overs of the first inning for when South Africa was batting.
And coming back, obviously, to what's currently happening, obviously, I don't think there's any way that, South Africa could actually win this match today. I feel like it's as good as done. I don't know what you think. A miracle could happen in this one.
Yeah, there's a saying we say back home when we're playing is cricket is a funny game. You cannot fold and say we've lost. One, it's a semi-final of a World Cup. Two, it's an ODI international. Not many people get the opportunity to either play in a semi-final of a World Cup or in a one-day international. And from a South African perspective, someone like Taz said could do. Was it Shami who got 7 wickets yesterday and win the game for their team and for their nation? So we'll just watch and hopefully get entertained. both by the bat and by the ball. Good contest, and see what the outcome is. But at the moment, it's falling on the side of the Australians.
Yeah, let me just bring it back to my ladies here.
Oh yeah, John, just a quick question. What would you say are the factors which affected the performance of SA? Like, as a player, you know what really happens when you're now about to face the team which you once lost before. So now you're facing them again currently, like right now, SA against Australia. What would you say was running in their minds, and it was really disturbing them before the game and during the game? Let's just say the first innings of their play.
It's not really about disturbing, or not really about going back to the previous games, because every game provides new challenges. And the last time these two nations played, it was a different wicket, and they played in a different way. So today, I think the South African batting lineup didn't adapt as quick as they should have. And like Miller showed, that if you do, one, place value on your wicket, and two, not only be stuck at the crease like what Rassie did, but knock the ball around, get in, and then play yourself as freely as you can once you're in, because it's a wicket where if you get in and dig in, you can bat well like what Miller did. But it's also a wicket that if someone gets out, it's difficult for the incoming batter to start again, because it will take time, and the bowlers' tails will be up. So for South Africa, I think they just didn't bat well in the first 10, and it affected the rest of the inning. They tried resurrecting it, but all the damage has been done. But for Australia, they came out with their tails up, saw that the wicket was doing a little bit. For me, this is similar to like a day one wicket at Lords, if I may put it, where the ball will actually swing. So Josh Hazelwood was at home in these conditions. He bowled within himself. He didn't have to do much, but just land the ball, which he normally does on a good area more often than not. And he reaped the reward. Stark hasn't had the best of World Cups thus far with the ball, but today it turned up because the conditions were allowing him to bowl the way he normally does with some assistance.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw this back at probably David. What would you say about, not obviously just obviously the South Africans, managed to play a couple of shots, but we've seen the field settings. Tandy asked a question in our first watch along early on in the morning to say that, do batters and bowlers, do they make a matchup so well as to know to say the likes of so-and-so prefer to drive, and they drive more or less hit square between, I'd say, point cover region. Do they set a field? And we've seen this morning to majority of a lot of the South Africans, them having 4 fielders within the covers, 5th with the mid-off up. And what do you say about the Australian fielding today, as opposed to how tight they've been before versus what it was today?
Yes,
David, are you there?
I agree, Tam. Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Perfect.
I mean, yeah. I think that the Australians fielded brilliantly. You could see from the first over when David Warner threw himself either side to stop 2 successive what would have been boundaries. They were on it right from the word go. Unlike the way South Africa bowlers have started today. I mean, look, if I was the captain and I knew that Jansen was a very nervous character, which he is by all accounts, he's a very quiet, shy person who needs to be, sort of spoken to and encouraged before he goes onto the field. Why give him the first or second over? Because he's taken the pressure off already. He's already gone for 20 off his 2. And
that's correct.
He's still bowling now. Yeah, so he's still bowling now.
He's actually just gone for 27 in his 3 overs.
I mean, I really could have predicted that, because we know when Jansen played against Australia earlier in the tournament, he lost the plot. And I think we've seen the same today. He does get affected by nerves by all accounts. Apparently, he likes to speak to his father before going out, and he needs to be given encouragement, or the chaplain needs to speak to him. You know, he's a very shy guy. You don't open the bowling with him in a game like this, a World Cup semi-final. You know, I would have played Ngidi or Williams, who played one game, did really well. Is he still in the squad? Has he disappeared? So these type of errors are costing South Africa, and they will cost them a game. In the knockout
I'm
stages, we're
definitely
going to
with
see
you
them
on that.
exiting the game, barring a
Rabada's
miracle
actually
from...
started really well, and he's not getting much support from the other end as well. I think the concerns behind Ngidi's possible injury, as he limped off, past 2 games, he hasn't managed to finish his spells. So possibly an injury on his part, and Bavuma doesn't have much choice. Maybe, like you say, he could have brought Williams back into the squad, because Gerald Coetzee, the first and only game is their last game that he actually bowled and was not expensive. Yes, he may be striking. Yes, he may be taking wickets, but he's been super expensive, And for me, I'd expect Jansen on the other end. He may be one of the more inexperienced players, but take a leaf from Rabada. For me, Jansen's currently just bowling way too full right now, and he's just putting it in the middle of the bat. He's not giving the ball much time to swing around or move at all.
Well, he's nervous. And anyway, a lot of us would be nervous playing in big games like this, but you don't put him into this. You don't put him into this position. And look, Williams is part of the squad. He played one match. He did really well. He's not the most exciting of bowlers, but he kept it there on a length. His figures were good. I mean, is he still in the squad? He was a ready replacement for Ngidi. I would not have gone back to Jansen after what Australia did to him last time, because you know what it's like as players. If you've played against a team who've hit you around the park just a few days ago, when you come back out and play bowl against them again, you're going to go around the park again. And
Definitely,
these sort of mistakes, they're I wish I was with you guys now I could really go on about this for hours. The thing is, it's a low scoring game. So South Africa needed to be switched on from ball one of this innings. And you have to say that tactically they've got this wrong by playing Jansen instead of Williams, who was a ready replacement for Ngidi. I mean, look at the figures of Jansen. I mean, I don't take any pleasure in saying this, because I wanted South Africa. I'm backing South Africa.
That's right.
But allowing Australia to go off at 10 and over, and Jansen's figures, last time I looked, he's bowled 3 overs for 27. And I'm sorry, bowling's about partnerships, just like batting is. And when you've got Rabada bowling well at one end, and I mean, I just had a message from Paul, our fellow Channel X contributor, saying that he's getting very excited anyway. Well, he might, because it looks like it is going to be Australia India final, and I just think that, I mean, he said that he's taken obviously in South Africa you're allowed to in Australia and South Africa and England you're allowed to bet, and he's had a little insurance bet on South Africa, 37-1. That means that people have ruled them out. Of course, betting is not illegal in India, but other people around the world are seeing. They're putting their money where their mouths are, and they're piling in on Australia to win this match, because in a low-scoring game, this is elementary errors, and I'm really surprised that Bavuma, with his cricket awareness, hasn't spotted something that is obvious to the rest of us, that you don't put Jansen back on to the Australians after what happened to him just a few days ago. How long ago was it when Australia beat South Africa, and Jansen was very, very expensive in that? Because South Africa's one chance of getting back into this.
I just want to bring Roland into this conversation right now.
Oh.
So I'm going to throw this one at Roland. Roland, South Africa's 50 in the entire team innings came up for them in 101 balls. currently Australia right now have brought their 50 up in 34 balls. Your take on this? Please, if you can just
Unmute the
unmute
mic.
yourself. Roland, are you there? So my question to you was, what do you think entirely, was going through the minds of South Africa, bringing up their 50 in 101 balls, as opposed to, Australia that's just brought theirs up in 34 balls? What's the difference?
Right. First of all, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Perfect.
perfect.
Right. Okay, fine. As I said, good to see everyone once again. The situations are very different. When South Africa batted, really, their 50 took so long because they were under tremendous pressure by some very high-class bowling. So they had little choice, really. The situation was made easier now for Australia because Australia knows that they're only chasing a small total. And they can have a deliberate plan to be very attacking at the beginning and put South Africa under pressure. So the situations are completely different. Very easy for Australia in the first innings because they piled the pressure on with the ball. But because South Africa got such a low score, it meant really the pressure has been released at the start of the innings. Australian batters, particularly someone like Warner, who's a very experienced player, been around a long time. He's seen these situations before. And he knows full well that there's no point in coming out to bat chasing a small total and trying to bat the 50 overs. No, they want to win this game, and you have to win this game in a much shorter period. In order to do that, you put pressure on the opposition at the beginning, which makes it much more difficult for the opposition to remain in an attacking mind frame. They have to become much more defensive. That also opens up gaps in the field for you to pick up the ones and twos. So the fact that South Africa in this position is purely because of their poor innings total of 212, which really is the main reason that they're in this situation.
Definitely, I'm with you, and David mentioned earlier that, Pavuma, in all his level of experience as well on the international stage, he wouldn't have foreseen him using the likes of Marcus Jansen to open the bowling, knowing the type of character he is as well. And, just the switch up in the bowling from him, bringing in a spin bowler in Aiden Markham right now, still within the power play, just 6.1 overs, and he comes in and he strikes instantly. David Warner gone. Right now, Australia find themselves 60 for the loss of one. This coming in 6.1 overs. What do you think in the instance of, do they take off the pace from the ball entirely, or do they keep Obada flying in from the other end and probably mix it up with the spinner? So batsmen have to find the rhythm to adjust between quick and slow on each end.
Yeah, I think they've got to get the balance right. If they're going to get back into the game, the spinners have got to bowl well because obviously there's turn in the pitch. But they still also have to be mindful that the total that Australia is chasing is not a very big one. You just need two partnerships and the game is finished. So, they've got to just try and do the best they can. As I said, the problem for South Africa really has been the batting. The batting got them into this position. Now they're asking the bowlers really to do miracles. In relation to Jansen, I know Jansen hasn't had a great couple of games, but at the same time, he is one of South Africa's main bowlers. He is someone that 9 out of 10 times you would have in the team and you would go to. So I could understand why South Africa have played him. Maybe use him in terms of bowling at a different period of the game. But for someone with his experience and the way that he has done in his career so far, he has to take a leading role in the side. But the batting is what's let them down today. I think if South Africa had got 270, 280, I think you would have seen a different situation unfolding.
Definitely, I'm with you. I'm in 100% agreement with you. Not enough runs on the board at all for anything to happen here. And I'm just gonna throw this one at John. John, they've currently taken the pace off the ball as well, and it's looking a lot more optimistic. Do you feel like if they have to get rid of possibly Mitchell Marsh, because for me, he's probably that anchor that could play a deeper innings, then I'd say probably Travis Head. Do you think South Africa could be heading in the right direction to cause the upset we're all hoping and looking for?
Ooh, there's still a long way to go, considering also the Australian batting lineup. You know, I remember even watching the Ashes. You know, guys like Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark would play some very useful innings. So in regards to that, like what Roland and David have been saying, the runs are not there. And with this flyer that Australia have had, it's already certain that Australia is 1 3/4 foot in the semi-final. So for now, it's just important that South Africa just, like Roland said, the balance. These words and these phrases are just phrases that we use a lot in cricket. Find the balance between attack and defend. Find the balance between who you're going to bowl this end. Are they going to be a holding bowler? Are they going to be an attacking bowler? That is what Australia have done well throughout this match. They went in with their 2 opening bats. They've gone at the bowlers. They're going at 10s. So now the pressure is no longer on Australia. When their stroke players are coming into play, even if South Africa take wickets, your Labuschagens, your Smiths, they are not playing anything out of character, because they're just going to be knocking the ball around 3s, 4s, and then they'll just walk this game. I was surprised how South Africa didn't open with a spinner. Got an off spinner. He's shown that he can get a wicket. I was fortunate enough to play against both these teams. And on both occasions, or the couple of games that I played against them, I opened the bowling because we found that they are not very comfortable playing spin. It's either they're hitting spin or they're getting out. So Markram coming on to bowl now and striking first ball is just another box ticked that says South Africa should have opened with a spinner, spinning the ball away. They couldn't have gone with Cash because it's going to be spinning the ball in, but spinning the ball away. Taz, you're an off spinner. You know we love bowling to lefties. You know, whenever a left-hander comes in, we're always begging the skipper, give me the ball, give me the ball. And it just showed there by the wicket that Markram got.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on that, John. So, as I said, they've probably just taken a bit of a dig into my brain. I would have definitely kept KG going on. And that's another wicket for South Africa right now. Rabada strikes. Mitchell Marsh is gone. Australia finding themselves 61 for the loss of 2 right now in 7.4 overs. And this is what I was saying, like exactly what Roland said as well, is once you find the balance, it's not easy for a batsman to come out and wait for the ball, let it turn, let it move, pick a line, wait for the length. And then you have him come in the other side and he's been rushed by the seam bowler as well. So I think it's better captaincy from Bavuma. He just needed to think of it off the bat. I'm not sure, Thandi.
Just a curiosity question to, let's just say, Roland right now. What would you say, like, we all wanted SA to win the toss and elect to bat first, but was it a wise decision, or it was going to be better if they chose to chase, since right now Australia is comfortable with the chasing? So what if they chose to chase? Were they going to manage it? And also in the sense that the rain doesn't come in that manner to come save them. Like, was it a good choice?
Well, hindsight is 20/20 vision. We can all be correct after the fact. When both captains walked out to the pitch this morning to make the decision, they would have had in their minds exactly how they want to play this game. Perhaps their reading of the conditions may have been the same, or the readings of the conditions may be totally opposite. Now, South Africa obviously felt that their best chance of winning this game would be to bat first, put a substantial total on the board, and then look to defend it. Australia, who knows? Maybe they would have had similar thoughts, that they would have wanted to bat first. Maybe they want to bat second. So it's a decision that you have to make at the time to suit your team. I don't think you worry too much about the opposition. You have to think, well, what is the best way of my team winning this game? Is it batting first and setting the total, or is it bowling first and chasing the total? I think on this occasion, South Africa believed that batting first would have been their best option, and it just didn't work out. And that's the game that we all love so much.
Definitely, I agree with you, because right now we all needed that win side from SA, and if they selected to chase the score, I'm sure everyone was just going to chew them and say, "You guys, you know that you're good with the setting up." And as much as the team didn't perform well, we're just happy to say that now they're finally to pick up. They're finally picking up their slacking and trying to come up better with the bowling side. And what would you say about the bowling, in the sense that should they maintain what they're doing right now, mixing the seamers and the spinners, or they should just continue experimenting in that sense?
I think they're going to have to be very clever now because of the start Australia have got. Um, I I believe at the beginning of the innings, I think because it was such a small total, I think that's where they needed to be inventive in terms of how they start the innings. It would have been a very wise decision to have started with a spinner, just to take the pace off the ball, and maybe Rabada at the other end, um, just to have something different in the minds of the Australians, who would have been expecting Rabada and Janssen to start. So you give them something different. That's where South Africa fell down in their thinking. I think what they did, if you had a decent score on the board, I wouldn't have a problem starting the way they did. But because I've got such a small total and I've got to do all the running, it means that I've got to be a little bit more creative and smarter than in another game. So I would have started with a spinner and a fast bowler, just really trying to change things up. They're in a difficult position now because um, they've got Australia's got that start. It now means that the captain is going to have to think long and hard in terms of his combination of bowlers. But at most of the time, I think a spinner really needs to be in the attack most of the time, from one end particularly.
Definitely. So would you say Australia, they're better off when it comes to adapting compared to SA, or it was just one of those situations where SA just took time to adapt to the conditions, like the playing conditions?
No, I think obviously you've got to give credit to the way Australia bowled. And against any other team in these conditions, they would have done exactly the same because, they're a high-class bowling unit if there is anything in the pitch for the bowlers to have. Whether they're playing against India, against South Africa, whether they're playing against Pakistan, whoever they're playing against, if the conditions are right, they've got the bowlers to do the damage. So I think just South Africa were unfortunate that there was that sort of movement in the pitch. I mean, it's almost unheard of when, Hazelwood bowled 3 maidens out of his 8 overs. I mean, that tells you the sort of pressure that was being created by a very fine fast bowler. So, you needed a pitch against Australia that offered them nothing, that they really would have had to work hard for it. This pitch to start with this morning suited them perfectly. Hazelwood, great exponent of pitching the ball just back of a length, making the batsman play. So it was just unfortunate that the conditions suited Australia this morning.
Definitely. And last question before I hand it back to Tasmin, who would you say is the key player or key players for Australia and South Africa in the bowling side, who we can look forward to, who will serve at least the South African side?
Well, in terms of Australia, they've got batsmen who play and look to play Test match cricket, even in white ball cricket. So, that is a good. They have players who will soak up pressure. At some point in time, South Africa will put pressure on the Australian team, but they've got batters who can bat through those and not take any unnecessary risks and soak up the pressure. From South Africa's point of view, they've got to be very good in the field. They've got to ensure that any chances that come their way, they've got to take. They've got to stop runs. They have got to do all the running. Australia have plenty of time. There's lots of overs remaining. They just need to bat. If the game goes to full distance, then obviously there's only one winner, which is Australia because of the time. But South Africa have got to find a way to bowl Australia out in a much shorter period than 50 overs.
Definitely.
I'm with you 100%. So I know we still have John out there as well. Johnny, do you think South Africa should take Rabada off maybe and bring Kesh in early? Now the fact that you have just Travis left, that's the left-hander, and he's definitely still teeing off. I don't think he's looking to slow down at any minute as well. John, you are muted. Please, may you just check your microphone for us.
Sorry. Yeah, as I was saying, the game changes now after this over because you're out of the power play. So now I
Yes.
think Cash can be introduced into the attack to try and come and ball that attacking line. And the key thing is how they're going to set their fields. It's very easy for them to go straight on the defensive and wait and expect for things to happen. But then the ingenuity and cleverness of the captain here will have to come to play in how he's going to set his fields. Is he going to continue with two spinners, one left arm spinner and one off spinner, since there's right and left hand combination? Is he going to continue with the part time spin of Markram now that there's a right hander in play? Is he going to bring Jansen back in, or Kutsia, who hasn't ball, to come and see what he has to offer here? So now Bavuma has got all those things in his head to be able to see what can work at this point in time for South Africa. But for me, I think Cash should come in now after the turnovers and be able to see if he can bowl the way he bowled against India, get a breakthrough, and hopefully just ruffle the feathers. Because now it's all about ruffling the feathers. As you ruffle the feathers as the South African bowling group, you never know what's going to happen. Everyone thinks the game is dead and gone, but just ruffle the feathers and see how things can go.
Yeah, we've just seen Rabada hit Steve Smith 3 times. First time in the pad, thigh pad. Second time, he just got a glance down leg, dropped by Quinton de Kock. And now again, hit him in the gloves. Steve Smith, he hasn't had the greatest campaign right now. And Roland, do you think he might be where South Africa is looking to strike right now in order to just keep the wickets tumbling?
Well, they have to. I mean, South Africa has to do all the running. Australia doesn't have to do anything besides just tick along. It's not a big total. So South Africa has to do all the aggressive work. So Rabada, I mean, he's going to have to keep bowling and try to get wickets out. Steve Smith, he will fight. One thing is for sure, the Australian batters will fight it out if the situation is tough. For South Africa to win this game, really, it won't be the bowlers that win the game. It will be the captain that wins the game. If South Africa is to win this game, Bavuma has to be better than he's ever been in terms of his combinations of bowlers, when he bowls them, etc., etc. That's what needs to happen at this stage. And the persons that he put into those situations obviously then execute. But he's the key person, because Australia doesn't have to do a great deal. They just need to bat like they bat in a test match, pick up 2, 3 and over, and they'll get home because they've got plenty of time.
Definitely, I'm with you on that one. So we're gonna leave it here tonight. I'm not sure, Tandy, do you have anything else for the guys? No. So we're just gonna leave it off here tonight. I hope we can actually get a chance to get you guys back in studio as well tomorrow when we do come back, and I hope we're singing a green song, not a yellow one. But for what it's worth, we're gonna take it at hindsight right now, and we're gonna all just keep projecting greatness onto South Africa, and a couple of miraculous tactics, hopefully from Bavuma's back pocket, to just help his side get over the line. But I take nothing away from the bowling of the Australians. I spoke about it this morning as well. To say Mitchell Starc, he was the last highest wicket taker with 27 wickets. And it's good to see him come to the show today, regardless of the fact that he's been missing in action. We just from South Africa that's possibly going to try and do the same. So I thank both of you guys. I thank Paul as well, who's just left the show a while ago, for being on the show. And I look forward to sitting in the same conversations with you guys as well. Thank you, James.
Yes, great pleasure.
Thank you.